lose in a shootout to the Vegas Golden Knights by a score of 3-2. And this was a game they definitely could have won, but not a terrible result. No Artemi Panarin, which is, of course, huge, and I'm not surprised that he didn't play with the Rangers really not having many games at all coming up. They have a game Wednesday against Montreal, which remains to be seen if that game is still going to be played with what's going on with COVID and just also in Canada in terms of, Montreal, for their last home game, they didn't have any fans. Now, that's a different situation, but the point is that this could be the last game the Rangers play for a while, or maybe they have one more. So it makes sense to rest Panarin. It makes sense to not play Shesterkin, who did not play again. It was Georgiev. And Filipino was back in the lineup playing wing, not center. Also, Libor Hájek still in the lineup. Even though Nils Lundkvist did skate in the morning practice, but he didn't play again. I guess they're still saying he has non-COVID illness. But this was a game that the Rangers, again, came out flat in the first period. It's been a theme for this team where they really just don't play their best game. It takes them a while, and that happened again. And it cost them the first period. And the goal scorer for Vegas, and really, honestly, probably the player of the game for Vegas, sadly, is Brett Howden, who the Rangers traded to Vegas in the offseason. And he was on the Rangers for the past 3 seasons, from the 18-19 season to the 2021 season. And it was a disappointment. He was someone that the Rangers got in the Tampa Bay trade where they traded away McDonough and JT Miller, and the Rangers got back Brett Howden and, ironically, Libor Hájek, really just – and Nils Lundkvist technically too. Not a great trade, but that's here nor there. But Brett Howden – he scores the first goal of the game, and the Rangers were not playing well at all. And to make matters worse, then Mika Zibanejad takes a hooking penalty. But the Rangers are able to kill it off. So the Rangers' special teams has really been brilliant. Power play and penalty kill has been really, really good. And maybe that penalty kill got them back in it. Overall, just a really poor first period. They needed to be better. This is Gerard Gallant's former team, and Ryan Reaves as well. But it's interesting that Howden ends up kind of being the story among former teams goes. He was really someone that really helped Vegas get this win more than anyone, which is so sad to say. But the Rangers really had an amazing second period. This was probably one of their best periods of the season against a good Vegas team who's been hot lately. And it was a goal by Mika Zibanejad 17 seconds in to the period, assisted by Kreider, who's all of a sudden getting a ton of assists, and Keandre Miller. So Zibanejad, the good thing about him in this game was he was taking more shots. And lately, this is a guy who scored at a ridiculous rate a few years ago. He is a center, which most centers are usually more pass first. Because Zibanejad's a great shooter, always has been, and he's been shying away from that. But it's good to see him do that. And that goal by Zibanejad tied the game up at 1. Then Zibanejad draws a penalty. Zibanejad actually drew really. He was mostly very good in this game. We'll talk about a situation where he wasn't, but he really is doing better, even though there are still mistakes along the way. Zibanejad is slashed by Nicolas Roy, and during that power play, there's a delayed penalty where Zibanejad was high stick by Alex Pietrangelo. On this delayed penalty, Kreider scores on a beautiful pass from Mika Zibanejad. So Kreider's 18th goal of the season from Zibanejad and Strome gives the Rangers a 2-1 lead. So the Rangers get the power play goal, and then they get the power play off of the Pietrangelo high stick. And the Rangers had a lot of chances. Even Strome hit the post. They almost made it 3-1, and you just kind of had a feeling like if they can score that third goal, they could be good. And it never came. And the Rangers had a really good second period. So we go to the third, and it's 2-1. And the Rangers, I don't want to say that they necessarily sat back, but they did not get really great offensive opportunities. They really but they were playing very well defensively. I can't really honestly kill what they were doing, although it was, I guess, upsetting to see them not sort of continue that good play from the second. They were really stopping Vegas, for a lot of that period until Vegas ties it up. And how do they tie it up? Off a faceoff, which has been a problem for the Rangers. They give up a lot of their goals off of lost faceoffs in the defensive zone. And the culprit a lot of the times is Mika Zibanejad. Zibanejad loses faceoff to no one else but Brett Howden. Brett Howden is the one who really with the Rangers was not great at draws. The rest of his game was really shit. So I guess maybe in comparison, his faceoff play was not terrible certain years, but Howden beats Zibanejad. But to make matters worse, Filipino, who was playing wing, I don't really want to cut him slack, but if I was going to, he's used to playing center. Hedl, with a very aggressive move, basically leaves Dylan Coghlan open, and there's a screen in front, and Coghlan scores and ties it up at 2 with a little over 5 minutes left in the game. So it's upsetting just in terms of Mika losing the faceoff to Brett Howden. I can't explain enough how frustrating that is. And for Hedl, just a missed assignment right there by Philip Hedl. He's not producing. I'm sorry, Philip Hedl, who had chances, sneak preview. This game does go to overtime. And he had chances in that overtime, but he just did not, he doesn't convert. It'd be great to see him score, and it just does not happen. And the Rangers, after that goal was scored, they had a good shift after Vegas tied it up. But then after that, Vegas dominated the rest of regulation. So the shots ended up being 10-2 Vegas in the third. A little misleading, but the 2 shots isn't. The Rangers' 2 shots, that is true. And that's pretty unacceptable. But really, the first 15 minutes or so, they were doing a really nice lockdown job. But you lose a faceoff, and then they tie it up. But the Rangers do get it to overtime. They do get a point. And you really felt the loss of Artemi Panarin in overtime in the shootout. You really did. That's where a player like that really shines. And to not have him, that might have cost them a point. But this overtime was very exciting, back and forth play. A lot of good saves by Georgiev, a lot of good saves by Brasseux, who was in net for Vegas as Robin Leonard, the starter, played the night before against the Devils, and he'll be playing likely against his former team, the Islanders. So Brasseux does well, and Georgiev. This was great goaltending. And then into the shootout, too, great goaltending. And it ends up being Capo Caco, which I wasn't surprised about. And I didn't love the attempt. I wish he went. He's not someone who uses his speed, but he doesn't score. And mind you, Georgiev made saves in the first 2 shooters. Then the second shooter for the Rangers is Zibanejad. He doesn't score. So it would have been nice. Again, Mika had a really nice game, but to kind of just make up for that lost faceoff, he doesn't score. And then Jonathan Marchessault, he wasn't Ranger property, but Jonathan Marchessault played for the Hartford Wolf. I guess at the time it might have been the Connecticut Whale, but Jonathan Marchessault played for the Rangers AHL affiliate before he became an NHLer. So, it's one of those games where Brett Howden and Jonathan Marchessault get the best of the Rangers, and Marchessault scores against Georgiev, leaving Ryan Strome as the only chance to keep the game alive, and he does not score. So Vegas wins it 3-2 in the shootout. Again, not a terrible result when you factor in no Panarin. Vegas is a very good team. They've been hot. The Rangers, again, they need to play better in those first periods. It's tough. You throw a period away, that's going to make your life a lot more difficult. And the Rangers made up for it with a great second period, but the margin for error is really small, and Vegas tied it up. And in the shootout, it's basically 50-50 at that point. So the Rangers, like I said, they lose. Their next game is Wednesday, home against Montreal. And the Rangers played home. This will actually be the Rangers, if it is played, the Rangers' last game against Montreal. They won the first 2, so hopefully they can go 3 out of 3. And then they played Detroit Monday, the 27th. And by then, you'd hope that Shesterkin and Panarin are back at that point. I understand if you don't want to play him the Wednesday game against Montreal, understandable. But if somehow Shesterkin or Panarin are not back by that 27th, then that's a little bit concerning. And I would expect Shesterkin to be back. He's been practicing. Panarin, I guess we don't know at this point, but they're making it seem like it's not a big deal. So there you go. Rangers lose the game. Their record drops to 19-7-4, which is still really good. Don't get me wrong, it's still a very good record. Could have been worse, and the Rangers could definitely use a bit of a break, and they will get one before they may or not play against the Montreal Canadiens.